A recent Bankrate study showed that 60% of Americans have $1,000 or less in savings, meaning that a lot of people are going into debt when they're going through tough times. Now, whether you're part of that 60% or not, I think we can all agree that $1,000 is not a large enough safety net when emergencies happen. So today we're going to take a look at 5 ways that you can quickly save some extra money, whether you're building up an emergency fund or maybe you're just saving towards a particular financial goal. Let's jump right into it. What is going on, everyone? I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future, and feel free to leave any video suggestions that you may have down in the comment section below. So the first and most obvious step to help you save money is to create a monthly budget of how much money you're making and how much money you're spending. Now, you don't necessarily need to go crazy and have some elaborate spreadsheet that only you can understand, but the more detailed you are, the better you'll be able to allocate every single dollar that you have and put all of that money to work for you. At the very least, you want to be able to identify costs that you can cut back on so that you can increase the amount that you have left at the end of every single month. Even just keeping track of every dollar coming in and going out for 1 month can really help you realize places where you're spending or wasting a lot of money. For example, most people blow ridiculous amounts of money going out to eat or even just grabbing a quick bite of food in the morning. Now, obviously, special occasions are different and you still need to enjoy your lifestyle, but the daily trips to your favorite fast food joint or even just grabbing your morning cup of coffee on a regular basis can add up a lot faster than you think. So keeping track of these small purchases can really help to identify these areas and help you reduce your spending and therefore increase your savings. Now, there's plenty of apps out there that will help you easily keep track of your spending and where you're spending. I personally use Mint and have found that their interface is the most comprehensive in keeping tabs on your overall financial health. But if you really need help limiting your spending, then you may want to try the old school but very effective envelope method. Now, if you aren't familiar with this system, the envelope system is when you create various physical envelopes for just different categories like food, entertainment, or really anywhere that you typically get carried away. Then you determine a healthy monthly spending limit for each of those categories, and you put that amount of cash into each respective envelope. This forces you to pace yourself throughout the month, and say you spend all the money from the entertainment envelope early on in the month, then that's all you have, and you have to wait until next month to replenish those funds. Now, this doesn't work for everyone, and not everyone is comfortable carrying around that much cash, but it can be a great way to change your spending habits, especially if you're just getting started with your saving journey. Regardless of what method you use, keeping track of the money coming in and the money going out is vital if you're going to reach any of your financial goals. A person who makes $50,000 a year and is able to save $10,000 of that is technically better off than someone who makes $500,000 a year but spends all of it. At the end of the day, it really is about how much you keep, not how much you make. The next way I found to save money quickly is by stopping those impulsive purchases and forcing myself to wait at least 1 week before making any substantial purchase. I think we can all agree that we've become used to instant gratification as a society, especially because we have 2-day shipping on pretty much anything. But this has led to a lot of overconsumption of things that we just don't need. Now, I totally understand the excitement of finding a new item and researching absolutely everything about it and wanting to have that item as soon as possible. But studies show that that excited feeling that we experience when getting something new almost always peaks when we're anticipating or waiting for that item to arrive. It drastically decreases once we actually get what we wanted. This is the same reason that kids have so much excitement on Christmas Eve, but are bummed out that Christmas is over the next day, even if they got the gift that they wanted so badly. And whether we admit it or not, adults are no different. Just think about the last time you bought something you really wanted, or maybe you were waiting for that long overdue vacation. Of course, getting what you wanted felt great, but really it was the anticipation or the build-up to that thing that really brought you the most joy and excitement. So next time you find that new gadget that you have to have, just sit on it for a week and then decide if you still want it. Sometimes you may still have that excited feeling and you should go ahead and make that purchase. But a lot of times you'll find that you'll have completely forgotten about that must-have item, and suddenly you just saved yourself from a wasted purchase and just saved yourself some money. The age-old saying really is true that a penny saved is a penny earned, or in this case, a penny not spent on a useless item is a penny earned. This actually relates to my third point on how to save money quickly, and that's by asking yourself, would you rather have that item or have someone pay you that much in cash? Now again, everyone's gonna view this differently depending on their financial goals, and that's why it's so important to have those financial goals set from the beginning, because it'll be a lot easier for you to turn down those small purchases if it will get you closer to your goal, whether that be paying off debt or maybe just saving for your next vacation. Just take a look around your house at all the random things that you really thought you needed and you bought them and now they just sit around collecting dust. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could magically turn those things back into cash? Clothes are a fantastic example of this, since a lot of people buy clothing that they really want, but then they end up wearing the t-shirts that they bought on sale and never wear the item that they paid full price for. Just imagine if all those clothes that you never wear were magically turned back into cash. And if you had never bought them, that would be the case, and suddenly you would have saved yourself a pretty big chunk of change. Now this will take a lot of patience and practice, and it's a lot easier said than done. But when you see the money adding up in your account, you'll be a lot more motivated to stay consistent and continue working towards whatever savings goal you have in mind. My next saving tip is to set up automatic withdrawals, whether that be into an investment account or even just a separate savings account that you don't withdraw money from on a regular basis. Now there are a number of reasons that this works so well, but the first and most obvious is that it allows you to more easily visualize how your saving efforts are impacting the actual number in your account. Sure, cutting back on things like shopping and restaurants sounds like a great idea, but it can be really hard to stay motivated when you aren't seeing your balance grow. So by designating a separate account entirely, you'll be able to see that balance grow from zero while also ensuring that those savings stay tucked away for when you're ready to achieve whatever goal you're going after. And if you're already in the investing stage of your financial journey, then these automatic withdrawals into an investment account can be a great way to automate the entire process so that you don't even have to think about it. In my last video, we touched on ways to invest for long-term success, and I mentioned how important it is to be consistent and not panic when the market has those regular short-term dips. By automatically depositing funds into an investment account, you'll limit the number of times that you're looking at the total overall balance, and therefore you're more likely to stay consistent and not panic sell when those short-term dips do happen. Now obviously checking in on your investments is important, but I'm saying you don't want to be that paranoid investor who's checking in on their investments every 5 minutes. Automate your investment purchases into a few diversified index funds and then leave that money alone and let it go to work for you in the long term. This idea of automatically investing on a regular basis is also commonly referred to as pay yourself first. You may have heard this phrase before, but it essentially means that before you go blow your entire paycheck on Starbucks and Chipotle, you should set that money aside in a savings or investment account so that you aren't spending everything you work so hard to earn, like the 60% of Americans that we talked about earlier. By having these automatic withdrawals, you'll be able to see the fruits of your saving labor while also giving yourself an immense peace of mind knowing that if an emergency comes up, and it will, you'll be financially prepared. My fifth and final tip to help yourself save money quickly is to think of what that money will be worth in future value. Now this is delving pretty far into financial minimalism, so if you're the kind of person that's like, I want to live today, then you need to do what makes you happy. But for those of you that are still with me, next time you go to spend $5 at Starbucks, I want you to think about how much that money will be worth in 20 years. What about 30 or 40 years? Well, for those of you who are curious, your $5 cup of coffee, if invested at an 8% annual return, would be worth $23 in 20 years. In 30 years, that number jumps to $50, and in 40 years, your $5 cup of coffee would be worth $108. This really shows you the power of compounding interest and the massive effects that it can have on your health in your financial future. If these numbers are confusing at all, I encourage you to Google compound interest calculator and play around with these numbers and see what I'm talking about. Basically, imagine that I gave you a magic box and told you that every dollar you put into your magic box would be worth $21 in the future. Now, some people would still go buy their overpriced Starbucks and Chipotle, but I have a feeling that a lot of people would put as much money as they could into this magic box. Now what if I told you that this actually exists in real life and it's called a Roth IRA? A lot of people would still go blow money on stupid things, but a lot of people would also be motivated to put a lot into their Roth IRA knowing that it would be worth a lot more in the future. So next time you go to spend $5 at Starbucks, I want you to think about how much that money could be worth if you had just invested it for the long term. Now obviously there are ups and downs and you still have to make wise investments, but an 8% average return is very possible with consistent long-term investments. Everyone's going to have things that they need or want today, and that's totally okay. There's a fine line between being frugal and living a bore and dulling life, and that line is going to be very different for everyone. You need to find your balance and then live a frugal life that still fills you with joy and satisfaction every single day. So if you've genuinely tried all of these tips and you're still having trouble saving money, then there's really only one possible solution, and that is to make more money. Now again, this is one of those things that is easier said than done, since most people would love to just make more money magically, but you may be surprised by your ability to generate extra income that is currently untapped potential. Maybe you could pick up some extra hours at work, or even try one of the side hustles that we talked about in a previous video. It's also important to mention that working extra hours is not always the best solution. Unfortunately, there's only so many hours in the day, and that's why I really encourage people to seek out performance-based jobs. You may give up the reliable and consistent pay, but you give up in comfort you gain in earning potential. Sure, a performance-based job like sales will fluctuate in pay, but at least your earning potential isn't capped by the number of hours that you sit inside of a building every day. Don't be afraid to learn a new skill and step outside your comfort zone, because chances are you're worth a lot more than the hourly wage that you're currently making. So those are my tips on ways that you can start saving money quickly. Unfortunately, there isn't any magic formula, but with a little effort and some sacrifice, you can easily set yourself up for a lifestyle that you used to dream of. It's okay to go against the grain for a little while and live a frugal lifestyle that the average person would look down upon. As we learned earlier, the average person is also completely broke. So maybe it's time to be a little bit different with your financial habits. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Don't forget to destroy the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you so much for your time, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.